She has a ton of fantastic information. She has a really cool live project going on right now, and I am really stoked to talk to her today. How are you doing, Unwoman?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So much to talk about. So I just want to remind everyone out there watching right now, this is live, and what we want you to do is talk to us and ask your questions to Unwoman right now about music projects on Kickstarter, about launching repeated projects, really anything and everything. So there are two ways you can do this. You can either comment right here on the Hangout on the Google page, or you can go to our Twitter feed, Kickstarter Tips. So go ahead, send us those questions. But I have a few of my own, Unwoman, to get us started today. So you have a really long and amazing music career. And at what point, I really want to know, because you attend so many events and so many live music projects and so many recorded things. When did you think it was the time to use Kickstarter to sort of like go to the next level of your creative process?
That's a good question. Around the end of 2009, a bunch of different things happened kind of all at the same time. One of them is that Kickstarter, my friends in this band, Strip Mall Architecture, did a Kickstarter for a music project. And they gave me an invite, and that was back before Kickstarter was available to a ton of people. I was really shy about using it at first, and then I read this blog post by Amanda Palmer called "Why I'm Not Afraid to Ask You for Money." And that's a thing that I reread every once in a while when I'm like feeling shy about asking for money.
Sure.
And that made me feel really, really confident that it was the right thing to do. At the same time as that, Bandcamp was starting to become a thing. So I was able to sell my existing music to people at the same time. And I had decided a few months prior that I wanted to quit my day job.
Oh, wow.
So all of these things were kind of coming together at the same time, close to 6 years ago, I guess. And wow. I had been doing music, just in the evenings or whatever, and having a full-time day job for 7 years at that point. And so, I'd play shows here and there, and I didn't really have, I'd done a couple of steampunk events around the end of 2009 also. So I was finding kind of my new audience. So there were all these things that kind of happened around the same time that made me feel like I should use these new tools that artists have to make a living doing what they want, and also to reach out to people who like them. I should be using all of those tools, and I can. So that was basically, that was how that worked.
That's incredible. And I love that you've been doing this since the very beginning. 12 projects you've launched.
Yeah.
You've seen Kickstarter evolve, and you've evolved as an artist. Can you go into a little bit about how you've changed your approach to talking to your audience? Like, have you developed a new audience with each project? What have you done that's a little bit different? I would love you to go into detail about that.
I mean, each project is definitely a little bit different. I tend to consider my solo original albums as like the important things. And the first thing I did on Kickstarter was a solo original album called Casualties. And I don't remember how much I raised. I think it was only like $2,000 or $3,000, but it seemed like such a great thing for me. I could look up what it was, but it seemed like such a big thing to ask of people to basically fund the pressing of a CD. And I kind of realized, like, I can ask for more as long as I'm showing people that I'm delivering.
Okay.
So gradually, I've had more rewards. I've had kind of loftier goals for each subsequent original album, and people have been into it. Having rewards like I wasn't sure how well the song poems would do, and I did that for my very first album. So people could give me like $325 or whatever it was, and I would write a custom song based on a poem they sent me and produce it and everything and send it to them.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how well that would go, but I got like 6 or so pledges for that.
Wow.
On my very first project. I kind of wish I had my like dashboard of all my projects in front of me, and I don't want to fiddle around with that while I talk to you, but
sure.
But yeah, so kind of figuring out with each thing I do, like what rewards are successful, what people are excited by, what I'm excited to do. There are some projects and some rewards that I wasn't excited to mail. And I did them anyway, but like I'm never ever gonna send liquids overseas again.
You did that? What was that?
It was a tiny vial of a perfume sample that I made. Okay. And I sent it to the UK, and it cost like $120 to send it. It was for a $200 reward. Okay. And I was like, I have to do it because I promised this person this thing. The terrible thing is that this guy got it, and UK customs were like, wow, someone spent this much money to ship it. It must be worth a lot of money. We're going to charge him like $200 at customs. And I told him, please don't pay it. Like, please don't pay it. And I don't know if he ever got it because I kind of don't want to know. But I did my best, and it like really wasn't worth any money at all. But so anyway, I learned a thing about that. And now the Kickstarter has the ability, because this was in the olden days, and Kickstarter didn't have the ability to say like, no, I won't ship this overseas. And now you guys do, which is awesome. So now I can have, perfume sample rewards and only offer them to the United States. So that's nice. But I learned some things.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I want to go into a little bit about what you've learned, and I want to talk about your really amazing rewards and your live project also in a little bit.
Yeah.
But before I do that, I just want to remind everyone, we want to hear your questions about creating a music project, about not shipping perfume, to England, all these great questions. You could do that right here on the Google page, or you can go to Twitter to Kickstarter Tips. All right, Unwoman. So you mentioned like learning lessons. So I know that there's got to be a lot of, budding musicians and even experienced musicians who have never used Kickstarter. What are like some basic like how-tos? This is like the basic, they'll come up to you and say, I want to use Kickstarter. What would you advise them?
Yeah, I've talked to actually a lot of musician friends about Kickstarter, and the main thing I tell them is you will be surprised how much support you get. You might think like, I don't know if anybody wants me to do this. And the thing is, when your fans see, I want to make this project, I need your help, they will respond and they will do it. So the main thing I want to say is like, ask for enough money, like ask for as much as you need to actually finish it. That's one of the mistakes I see people making because they're not sure they can raise enough. Yeah. So they have a really low goal, and then it ends up being so low they can't actually afford studio time, or they can't actually get their CDs pressed, and they realize like, oh no, I need to ask for more, and then it just kind of looks bad. But people kind of need to be realistic about their goals. That's one of the main things. The other thing is definitely, and I'm completely breaking this rule on my current live project. Yeah. But there's a reason for that, and I'll get into that in a second. Yes. Definitely have a digital, like completely non-physical reward for like maybe $1 or $5. Okay. So that people can do something to help out your project, and you can send them a download of the album. You can just send them a thank you on Twitter or whatever. And it's a thing that you don't have to mail. They know that they're helping you, and they're actually helping you, like, even if they're only giving you $1, they're helping you kind of the maximum amount per like your expenses. And they feel involved, and they can share the project with their friends. And they feel like they're helping, even if it's like a small amount. And I mean, I would say like for original albums, I definitely give people full album downloads for $1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And not everybody wants to do that, and that's fine. And I keep those up on Bandcamp. They're $1 now too. And then I let people pay more if they want a physical thing, or they want something really unique, like a song poem or a live concert or whatever. Like, there's a ton of different levels for rewards that people can help at. So that's like, like setting a goal high enough and having a variety of well-priced rewards, but then also some like super premium rewards are probably my two main things for music projects. And yeah, I've talked to and they don't always end up using Kickstarter. They might use like Indiegogo or something, but whatever they end up choosing, I've talked to a lot of friends about crowdfunding and have kind of encouraged them, like, this is the way it's done. You might have people who pledge to your Kickstarter and never listen to your album, but you also have thousands of people who listen to your album on Spotify and never pay you.
Sure.
So there's kind of like, you kind of need both.
Balance.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So I think I do have a question here from the audience, and I think you're touching upon this anyway, but if there's anything in particular, one of the question is, the biggest challenges for Kickstarter campaigns, and what are the most successful rewards? And I think you touched upon that already, but if there's anything in particular, like, especially because you've seen so many projects now go through, like, I guess, have the challenges changed? Are they sort of the same, like the big ones? And I think you're talking, and the rewards, what are your obviously most successful, most popular rewards?
Well, Kickstarter, I think, says the most popular rewards are around $25. But you have to kind of think like the most popular rewards aren't necessarily the ones that people buy the most of. It might be the more expensive rewards that I have a really fun time fulfilling. So in some ways, like, the best rewards for me are actually the song poems, because I have a really fun time doing them. And they're like $300 for like a full day's worth of work.
Sure.
But it's fun work. So, and like, I think like a lot of my projects are mostly funded by the like higher level rewards. But yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of people want CDs and a lot of people want t-shirts. So, so those are popular. And then I have my USB drives with my entire discography. So a lot of people, who see my stuff for the first time because people are sharing the Kickstarter, which definitely happens. Like, I definitely get brand new fans because their friends are sharing my Kickstarter because they want to see it get funded. People might come and be like, wow, I really, really like your music and I want everything. And they'll do the like $60 pledge for the USB drive with all my stuff on it. So those are really popular rewards. But just in terms of pure numbers, the $1 downloads are like incredibly popular. I'll get like hundreds of the digital download rewards for my original albums.
Oh, wow.
At $1, because they're $1, and people are like, oh, okay, I'll just spend $1. Yeah, and those feel really good too, because those are people who just want the music and they don't necessarily want me to bother to like, you know, mail something. And my mom does a lot of my shipping for me, so it's nice to save her the work.
Right. That's amazing. So that's a tip for you guys. Something you can do with your mom.
Yes.
Ship your rewards.
Yes.
So I just want to remind everyone, keep bringing your questions. You could do that at Kickstarter Tips on Twitter or right here on the Google page. So you just gave us a lot of really great advice that I think any musician can follow. But you mentioned to me that before that you're now breaking some of your own rules. I think you totally have earned that. Can you talk a little bit about that and go into your live project, which I think is really some groundbreaking stuff happening there?
Thank you. So my live project is to put my music onto wax cylinders. For those of you watching who don't know, a wax cylinder is the first commercially available recording medium that Thomas Edison invented or stole from some other inventor, who knows. And it's basically, it's the player, it's like a phonograph record disc, except the player spins this thing around and goes up the cylinder basically, or down or whatever. And there's a few people who have these players in existence, and somebody asked me to make a cover of this song that was really popular on Wax Cylinder in 1904, and I said, yeah, absolutely. So I did it, and he got one made by this guy, the Victrola guy. And the Victrola guy was like, you should make more of these. And I said, okay, and we'll just see who wants them. But so my project now is specifically to get wax cylinders made. And like none of the rewards I'm offering are less than $80 because the wax cylinders have to be made individually. So they're not cheap for the guy to do. And I don't really want to muddy the waters with, I don't want to use up people's, okay, let's see, how do I phrase this? So I kind of want to save people's donations to me that are like more, that are not for a physical object, for future Kickstarter projects. Where I'm going to be doing like a whole album they can download or whatever, or for my micro crowdfunding that I have going on right now with Patreon. So this Kickstarter project is really just to get the physical things, and I wanted to make sure that people actually wanted them. And weren't just trying to like support a project that they thought was cool. And since there's no minimum run of these, I'm not shooting for, like, the goal I'm shooting for is to be able to do 10, because I get a tiny discount from the guy if I do 10.
Okay.
And I'm actually, so after 2 days, I'm actually two-thirds funded from my modest goal, and there's 22 days left, and there's like, Kickstarter has a kind of persuasive power when you have a goal that's kind of high, that you really want to hit for a creative project. And fans of your work really want to support it and push it to that goal. And I don't really have that here, because it's basically just like, do people want this thing or not? So this Kickstarter is more like figuring out if people want a thing and then just doing the thing that people want, as opposed to, I want to make this project and I want everyone to help me make this project. I don't know if that makes sense, but basically I'm thinking, don't do what I do. In this particular case, don't do what I do, other Kickstarter creators.
Okay, but I love that. And I think it's possible because you've really built a community around yourself with like all these projects for years and years. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You're a steampunk musician. So can you tell us a little bit about like your interactions with like the steampunk community on Kickstarter? And beyond that, have you had any surprise like support, any like out of nowhere like communities on Kickstarter? Like you're like, whoa, I didn't know they were into my music, that were like,
I mean, not that have identified themselves. Like I haven't gotten a bunch of people who are like, I'm a juggalo and I love your music. Or anything like that. Yeah. As far as I know, it's just, it's like steampunk people and music fans and cello fans are the kind of like the obvious, the obvious suspects there. But yeah, steampunk. So discovering steampunk, I played at SteamCon in 2009. And that was my first steampunk con. And I kind of like instantly knew that this was my audience, because as opposed to like the goth scene where everyone's like, why don't you have guitars and why aren't you singing about the darkness? I don't know, like, but I'm like, I love goth music and I go dancing at goth clubs, but that was not my scene. The steampunkers are like, oh, cello, I get it. You're doing something new with an instrument that was popular in the Victorian era. Like this completely makes sense. So steampunk community has been completely awesome to me. And I don't necessarily say that my music is steampunk, but it's obviously like it obviously fits into steampunk worlds. And yeah, it's interesting. This is actually, the Wax Cylinder project is in some ways the most steampunk thing I've done, because it's really about this, just ridiculously obsolete technology, but it definitely has that like handmade feel to it, because each of these, it's really cool if you think about it. You have a physical recording that has to be handmade, individually. So it's pretty cool. And and it was a steampunk person, like a person who does a lot of steampunk projects, maker projects, who inspired me to do the first Wax Cylinder of this.
Can I ask you about shipping? Like, I mean, you're shipping something that sounds like a very precious handmade item.
Yeah.
Have you done any experiments with shipping that, or tell me a little bit about your process with what you think you're going to do?
Well, so I don't know exactly yet. My contact, the Victrola guy, says that he's able to ship everything in the United States for $5. Okay. With media mail. I'm not sure entirely like what exactly packaging I'm going to have to do. I don't know. Someone just sent me this video yesterday of a guy breaking breaking a one-of-a-kind wax cylinder on TV. And it's really sad because you see his hand shaking and he's nervous. And he doesn't actually drop it. It just like explodes because of, I don't know, temperature changes or whatever. Yeah. But the ones that are being made right now are not quite that delicate. Okay. So hopefully it should be fine. I'm shipping everything in the winter, so it's not going to melt. It's not wax like candle wax, but it's, you know, it's not going to get heat damage, hopefully. Unless I send it to the, you know, Southern Hemisphere. I don't know. We'll see.
Australia, watch out.
Yeah.
This is awesome. So I just want to let everyone know we have about 9 minutes left. So start getting your questions in because we have a lot of great information here. Again, you can post that directly here to the Google page, or you can go to Twitter and go to Kickstarter tips. So Unwoman, I'm going to backtrack a little bit about advice for everyone out there. So a lot of times people, they do one Kickstarter project, it goes great, but then they think, should I do another one? Can I do another one? As someone who's done so many, what are like some things people should think about when they want to do another Kickstarter project, a brand new one?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I think about is, have I delivered all my rewards yet? If the answer is no, I tend to say like, no. I do have, for the Beauty Queen autopsy thing, there are a few things that my collaborator is like dilly-dallying on because he just had a baby. So, you know, I'm like not going to yell at him about that. So, but for like my personal projects, I tend to make sure that I've sent everything off. And, you know, the song poems are at least like almost done or whatever before I start asking people for more money. So that's important. But at that point, you've given people what they wanted. You've given people what they promised. What is the new exciting thing that you're doing? And it doesn't have to be, you know, a bigger scale than the first thing. It can be the same as long as it's a different new thing. Obviously, the people who pledged for your first thing are a really, really great, you know, source of people to ask to support the second one. I think I'm pretty sure all of the people who are getting wax cylinders from me have funded at least one Kickstarter from me before. Yeah. I mean, there's only, so, you know, there's only like 8 backers or so far, and they're all like people who have, they've supported me before, and they're in it. It's a hardcore Kickstarter, this particular one. But definitely like definitely go for it because you've established that you can do it. I mean, I think once you've done one, your second one is going to be a lot more successful, probably.
That's great. Yeah, do it, people. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. So you mentioned collaborators, and I know you work with others to do, you know, your performances and music, but one of the things I find is when people take on doing a Kickstarter, they're like, I can't do a video, or I don't know how to do social media. What particularly do you want to share? Like, who do you reach out for help with what particular aspects of running a project or building a project?
Yeah, so I've definitely asked people to film me before because I can't talk into a webcam without a person on the other side and not just feel like, my name is Unwoman, I'm doing this thing. So I'll definitely ask for help with that. Although I don't always do videos for all of my projects, but you know, that's another rule that I break.
Awesome.
So that's definitely a thing. And I have people help me with shipping. A lot of people get help with social media. You know, actually, one thing I want to say is having launched this new project has reminded me how many horrible spammer vultures there are that will come out and annoy the crap out of you as soon as you have a live project in Kickstarter. And they're basically of unlicensed taxi drivers who come up to you in the airport are like, hey, I'll give you this ride for this amount of money. And then you get in and you're like, and then you get to your destination and they're like, okay, that'll be $33. And it's like, oh, I could have taken an actual cab for that money. Yeah. Anyway, so be careful, I think I want to say, who you ask for help. Like, definitely do not respond to anybody who spams you on Kickstarter. I report that crap immediately. I'm like, unacceptable. And I don't blame you guys for that. It's like, it's ripe for the harvest because there's, you know, there are a lot of people who they really want their Kickstarter to succeed. And the thing is, like, unless a friend of yours has worked with somebody and it's who has actually helped them, or someone you trust who's done a good job, like don't listen to the people who say that they're good at social media, because they're probably going to go on Twitter and spam all your friends and anger them and not actually make it better. So I have kind of like a negative answer to that, but
okay. Yeah. Buyer beware, do your homework. Okay, everyone, last chance for questions. I'm going to say it one more time. You can put them right here in the Google page, or you can go to Twitter to Kickstarter tips. So, Unwoman, you've got a lot going on. You go on tour, you do a lot of performances. You're always like, making some kind of new music. So I want to ask you about kind of a balance between when you have a live project, you have one now, and kind of like getting that out there and taking care of that project and doing all the other stuff, your daily hustle. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the thing that I have to try not to do is like keep refreshing my inbox to find out how many people have backed it. That's probably like the biggest time sink of all. I think tweeting about something, sharing it on Facebook, tweeting about it like a couple times a day, Facebooking it like once a day. It doesn't actually take that much time, and that will keep the momentum going, because especially once you've done a few of these and you have a network of fans who want to share your work and want to see it succeed, that'll kind of like propagate it a little bit. If I have a really, really big project, I'll definitely put more effort into sending more email blasts and reaching out and into, doing things on forums and like trying to get new listeners. But, at this point I have like almost 5,000 people on my email list. Okay. Probably 200 of them actually read the emails I send, but it's a bunch of people. At this point I have, luckily, mostly the ability to kind of just like send things out and let the world take care of it. Not everybody has that option. Like some people have to be more, I would say, like, be targeted with your social media stuff. Don't just like annoy all your friends with it constantly, but go onto forums that are related to what you're doing and try to get new fans that way. And there's probably advertisement that can be well targeted for some things too. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so it doesn't take that much time out of my day, I don't think, to maintain a live campaign.
Okay. And how about when
in the very beginning?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. And how about when it's time to fulfill? What's like your timeline when like you're trying to just get all the stuff out of your mailing, be it cylinder or CDs, like?
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, as soon as I know that the manufacturing that I'm going to get most of the stuff soon, I'll do the surveys. And I don't do the surveys super early because people will change their addresses, and even though they can change their addresses on Kickstarter, they'll forget. So I do it like maybe 3 weeks before I want to be sending everything. I'll send out the surveys, and then get all my stuff in. My mom helps me with shipping, figure out how much packaging I need, and get all that stuff done. And and like there's obviously like if I do t-shirts, there's ordering t-shirts and CDs and stickers and all that stuff, and like the graphics for all that is definitely a bit of work, but that's like it's part of the cycle. Yeah.
So we've run out of time. I think we covered so much great stuff. Unwoman, do you want to like 10-second plug for your live project? Like what's it called? What's the name? How can people find it? Like
it's called Unwoman on Wax Cylinder. The coolest thing you can get that nobody has pledged for yet is a completely new custom song on Wax Cylinder. So words that you wrote or a short public domain poem, as long as it's under 2 minutes and 20 seconds, because that's how long the wax cylinders are. That's why they're obsolete. And that's a cool thing. I mean, you can check it out. You can pledge $1 just to watch it if you want to, but I haven't been telling people that because, it's basically just if you want this really cool physical thing, go for it. Otherwise, check out my website, unwoman.com, and listen to my existing music that I funded through Kickstarter.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Unwoman. This was great.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, this was really fun.
All right. See you later. Next Creator Hangout. Bye.